Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the new Marvel Legends Wolverine 5-pack, which I believe was an Amazon exclusive. I'm not sure since I've been sitting on this for a couple of weeks, but I'm pretty sure that was the case. And this is going to be all 5 figures in one review. I'm going to go through it as quickly as possible. I know this might be a little bit long. That's what she said, but it's going to be quick and painless. Never mind. Okay, so this one includes Logan / Wolverine, Callisto, Jason Wyngarde, Omega Red, and Cyber. And I'm very curious. We're going to get the question of the day out of the way first. I want to know 2 things. Which one is your most looked forward to figure in this pack, and which one is your least? To me, it's easily Omega Red being the most, and Jason Wyngarde as the least. I couldn't care less about a Jason Wyngarde figure. And Omega Red, even though it's mostly the same figure that we got before, it's like one of the best looking Marvel Legends figures ever, so I'm happy to get another release in any format. So anyway, we're going to go through all of them as quickly as possible. Bear with me, get a drink, and let's go ahead and get these guys off the stand and take a closer look. And the sponsor for today's video is Into the AM. Again, it's the t-shirt people. I love this company and they want to keep doing sponsor spots, and I want to keep wearing their clothes, so we're going to keep doing it. They are by far my favorite graphic t-shirt company that I've ever come across. It's the only thing I wear anymore. And the good thing is, by me doing these sponsor spots, you guys get a discount. There's a link in the description. If you click that and buy stuff, you're going to get a discount. Other cool thing about that is their prices, at full price, their clothes are totally worth it. Like, hands down, no doubt about it. But you do get the discount. And on top of that, they do have bundle deals. You can get a bundle deal on the graphic tees. You can get a bundle deal on the plain tees. They sell other stuff too, hoodies, joggers, all kinds of different things. Check that out. They do have the subscription service where if you want to save even more money, you can sign up for that. You don't get to pick out your shirts, but you do save money, so that's kind of like a trade-off there. But yeah, these shirts are awesome. I love the way they fit. They're super colorful. They're super fun. There's all kinds of different styles. If you're into like skulls and stuff, they have a bunch of that too. I have a few of those, but I prefer the more like comic anime inspired stuff, because I don't like just wearing the same stuff everyone else is wearing, and so I like having something that's a little creative, colorful thing, but not just another Marvel or DC thing. That's why I like these. I love these shirts. I actually do, like, this isn't just a sponsor thing that I have to say. I actually do get compliments on these shirts all the time. Like, it's a thing that happens. So if you're looking for some attention out in the wild, maybe something like this might help you if you're into wearing graphic tees. I don't know, but they are awesome clothes. Great materials, great printing, great fit. Everything's awesome about them. I love them. I really do. Wear them all the time. So that's why I'm going to keep doing the sponsor spots. You guys keep telling me you like the clothes too, so I'm happy to keep doing the spots. Everybody wins, right? Okay, so check it out. Link in the description, Into the AM. Plenty of good clothes there. Have fun. If you do get stuff, let me know in the comment section below which ones you're going to order. Okay, like I said, we're going to go through each one. I'm going to do them each individually as quickly as possible, then I'll give you a final verdict. For the set as a whole, I'm going to average it all out because I don't think many people are going to track down these figures individually. I don't think there's going to be that much of an opportunity for that. Okay, so this guy stands 6.5 inches almost exactly to the top of his head, and that makes him about 16.5 centimeters. And as far as the aesthetics go, it's not bad. We have a lot of sculpted wrinkles and things, so the clothing looks good. The face is well enough sculpted, I suppose. It's painted well enough. We do see some paint on the buttons here, so that's good. The glossy red on this doesn't look great to me. It looks very cheap and plasticky, and the rest of him does look like plastic because it is. I guess that's okay. It's just, when you have a lot of wrinkles and things, I think it helps to get some paint on there just to make that come to life and to not look like plastic. But if you don't mind it, then that's okay. I will say he's got very muscular lower legs, and it throws the figure off just a little bit because he's got like a more athletic build in his lower legs than most of the other figures ever in Marvel Legends. So that's a little bit strange, but hey, that's okay. So aesthetically speaking, this guy's fine. It's average for like a suited body, I suppose. There's not a lot of paint, but it's there. So as far as accessories go, we just have an alternate head. We have the dark hair and the light hair. I don't know if that's supposed to be him when he's younger, or what is that? I don't know. I can't remember, guys. I don't know. You can get mad at me in the comments all you want, but you can tell me all you want about this character. He kind of has the same nose, but it's not quite the same, so I don't know if it's him or if it's Jason. I should know this, but I don't, and I don't care. Okay, so that's it for the accessories for him. Just the head. Okay, as far as articulation goes, we have the standard hinge with the ball peg at the top, and the head sits nicely. It looks like it's a short neck because of the clothing and the scarf thingy. I can't think what that's called, but that's fine. He still can pose his head around just fine. Shoulders go up, no problem. There's no issue there, so that should get the job done. You can get them up to horizontal. You get your full rotation out of it, that's fine. You get your bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, that's fine. You get your little wrist articulation in there for his gripping hand with nothing to grip. Obviously it's a swivel, and there's a horizontal hinge. Other gripping hand, horizontal hinge. Again, there is an ab crunch in there, but you're not going to be able to use it too much, but it works some, so that's okay. For the hips, they go out to the side, about 45 degrees, nothing impressive, but it'll get the job done. You can bring the legs forward pretty much far enough to do a kick. They don't go back at all. You get your thigh swivel, you get your double jointed knee. Could have much better range, but I'm guessing for this guy it'll be okay. You do get a shin swivel at the lower part of the pants, and then for the ankles they go all the way back pretty far forward, and you get a really nice ankle rocker. Not perfect, but pretty good. So not bad for the articulation on this guy. It's a decent enough standard average Marvel Legends release. I think if you wanted it, you'll be okay, and if you didn't want it, then you won't care because it's nothing like crazy impressive. Okay, moving on to the next. We're trying to go from least interesting to most interesting as far as figure reviews go. So we're gonna go on to Callisto. She stands roughly 16 centimeters, a little bit shy of that. I have her head tucked down a little bit, so I'm gonna fudge it. And about 6 1/4 inches, again, probably slightly shy of that. Aesthetically speaking, we've seen most of these parts before. I have to say though, as far as the sculpt and general look of the figure goes, her legs are so ridiculously skinny, and her upper part, her chesticles, are quite large, and it's just really strange looking. It looks like the legs are from a different figure, kind of, because she is stacked from the waist up. And then from the waist down, she looks like she's made out of noodles. So I don't care for that very much at all. That said, the upper body is sculpted well, and I like the way they painted the shirt with the torn bottom. It looks like it's supposed to. No complaints. That's pretty cool. They did a good job with that. I think they did a good job with the head, although they are doing the really wide eye thing again. Like, her eyes are super wide, and the alternate head for Wyngarde also has fairly wide eyes. But they did a good job with the patch and the scar, and the painted hair looks really nice, so I like that. I like that they added the studded bands on her arms. The belts look decent. Pants are sculpted well, boots are sculpted well. We've seen those before, I believe. But yeah, it's fine. Like, the jacket's okay. There's nothing really wrong with it other than the ridiculously skinny legs. And I'm not saying she has to walk around like She-Hulk, but generally speaking, comic book characters are drawn with some type of proportioning, and this lady has a giant set of assets, and that doesn't match the rest of her body, so it looks weird. That's all I'm saying. Okay, now as far as accessories go, she kind of has a couple. I mean, she does have a couple. She has the 2 fist hands, then she has 2 gripping hands, and she has a butterfly knife and another type of regular knife. And they're actually done pretty nicely. I wish the butterfly knife had a little bit of paint on it, but it still looks pretty good, so that's kind of a cool batch of accessories. Now, as far as the articulation goes, the head is on a hinge and a ball peg. It's very much a lollipop situation. I don't know if you're going to be able to get in there. The way her hair is, it kind of hides it, so that's good. But you're going to have to be aware of it as you're posing, because as you can see, it shifts down and she gets no neck. So you want to leave that up like that, and then it's fairly well hidden, and then the head is at the right height. So just be careful. You don't want to bring that hinge forward at all, but then you can just pose it on that ball peg. Should be okay enough. Standard fare for your Marvel Legends. Shoulders are a little big for the socket, but you can get just about horizontal, so that's okay. Full rotation. Single jointed bicep or elbow, no bicep swivel. That's where you get your bicep swivel. And this isn't one of the ones that you get better than 90 or even quite 90, so that's a little bit of a bummer. The cuffs are a separate piece, so the wrists have your standard swivel and hinge. Nothing special there. Both of her gripping hands have horizontal hinges, which is unfortunate, but that's, again, pretty much your standard fare for Marvel Legends. I will note that the top part of her shirt doesn't quite match the bottom color-wise. I didn't notice that before I started filming, so I guess depending on the lighting, it might not be too big of a deal. And it's not too noticeable, but it definitely is to me right now. So be aware of that. If you look at it in store or at home and you don't notice it, then hey, that's good. But lighting changes the way paints work. There's nothing we can do about that. Alright, so it does lean forward pretty well on that diaphragm joint. No problem there. Going back, it's okay. Side to side works nicely. You get your rotation. That's a pretty good example of a diaphragm joint. I like that. Only thing that would make this better is another ball peg down here at the where the pants separate from the skin, but this is fine. For Marvel Legends, I don't really expect that, so that's fine. Hips go out to the side really well. They are a bit loose though, so be careful with that. Going forward, no problem. Going back, nothing. Thigh swivel is fine. Double jointed knee should be really good. She is a bit gummy. I don't know if you noticed that. That's not rotating on a joint, that's just the knee flexing. So yeah, the knees as usual are PVC, but they seem to be pretty soft, so she may take some shelf dives. But we get decent range out of that knee, so that's pretty good. No boot swivel, or at least mine's really stuck, but I don't believe we have one. Ankles go pretty far back, and far enough forward, that's okay. Ankle rocker is abysmal, terrible. But she has decent enough feet that she can stand fairly well. I know most heeled figures can't. This one's not too bad. So yeah, as far as the release of this character, Hasbro did a pretty good job. It's not like impressive in a lot of ways, mostly because the overall look is thrown off by the skinny legs, but they did do a good job here, and that little bit of paint on the hair and the nice paint job on the face does go a long way. So I do recommend this one as a standalone if you are tracking them down. It's a good enough release of this character. Could it be better? Definitely, but I don't think it's going to disappoint too much. Okay, moving on. 5 figures, 1 video. That's, I don't think we've done that before. Not in this kind of format. Alright, here we have a Wolverine, or Logan, since he's not wearing his mask. That's why I'm saying, or Logan. Okay, so let's say 5.5 inches to the top of his head, not counting his floofs. And that's going to make him about, generally, 14 centimeters. And so first thoughts about this guy. Well, the legs are nice. The 2 yellows don't match perfectly, but they're good enough, so that's okay. Skin tones all match. That's good. PVC here, ABS here. That's good that they match. I like that. The hair, I'm going to leave it up to personal preference. I personally don't like it. It's too much. It's very, very dark black. I mean, it is black hair, and he's got very pale skin, relatively speaking, which is, whatever. But the way it's so just painted on, I mean, not the individual strokes, but the way it's in chunks, it looks weird being that dark. If it was a lot lighter and it kind of just made it kind of look like it faded off into nothingness where there's no hair, that's fine. But the way we have this swoopy pattern of hair on his chest, which I've never seen anybody with chest hair like that, that's weird. But it's not my cup of tea. And the back hair, it looks really weird being so placed. I would say just don't do it. Don't do the hair if it's going to be so obviously placed in certain places. Otherwise, it needs to be everywhere or a lot less dense. Something needs to be done. They didn't strike the right balance, in my opinion. If you like it, that's fine. Let me know. They did paint the nipples, which I know some of you are going to like. He does have some scratches here and there. That looks pretty good, actually. We don't typically see blood on figures, and so that's a pretty cool thing. We're not using the best Wolverine body here. I noticed on the box art, they did show, it's just a rendering. Let me see if I can grab it real quick. This is interesting to me. I want to show you. This is not the actual figure. Give me a sec here. This is not the actual figure. This is a rendering, but that head sculpt looks so incredibly good compared to what we got, which isn't what I was going to talk about. I just wanted to mention that too. Why can't we get figures that look like this as opposed to ones that look like this with the stupidly wide eyes? They all look like gremlins. Every freaking Wolverine looks like a gremlin. That's what he should freaking look like. I don't get... Anyway, okay, what I was going to say is this is a rendering, but look, they used a rendering of the body that has the peg holes for the shoulder pads, which is a much better body. I dropped the figure. Okay, so that's a much better body than the one that we have here, which is the original modern Wolverine body, which doesn't have the peg holes. So it's strange to me that they showed off the better body, but then used the one that's not as good. This one has the little beanie shoulders and the neck that sticks up a little bit too much, and it's not as good. It's fine, but it's not anywhere near as good. And speaking of not as good, we do still have the crappy claws. These are the worst claws, and this particular figure has like a pewterish hue, slight little bit of yellow in there in the claws rather than straight silver. So don't love that at all. Boots are painted nicely. I don't know, it's fine, but that head sculpt really does not do it for me from the aesthetics perspective. Now, as far as accessories go, we do get an alternate head, which is a beat-up head. He still has wide eyes, and he looks... It's fine. The scratches look good. The bruising looks okay, but I'm not in love. I don't think they're... I don't know what's going on. There's something up with the Wolverine head sculpts with Hasbro. It's weird. And then we also get a set of fist hands, which is weird because the claws are removable. So, you could just remove them and we could have gotten some open hands or something, but we have fist hands. And I understand you might not want the holes in the hands, but we do have fist hands with removable claws and naked fist hands. So that's it for the accessories for him. Let's talk about the articulation, even though we've seen this all before. He can look up really well, which maybe is what this figure was originally meant for, because he does have a really big neck and his head sits kind of high. But yeah, the head works fairly well. It rotates okay. has good range there. I do have some Logan heads coming out soon, hopefully by the end of the year. I know it was supposed to happen like a year ago now, but anyway, I do have some Logan heads, which I can't show you right now. They're all packaged up unless I have some boxes, because I'm moving again, but unless I have some pictures of them. They're packaged up in boxes. Anyway, if you don't like Logan heads, I might have some alternatives for you in the very, hopefully, near future. Alright, butterfly joint works pretty well. It's not bad. Gives him a little bit of extra range. Little beanie, shoulders, work just fine. That's okay. You do get your full rotation. Bicep swivel. He's very bubbly looking. Definitely needs a bigger shoulder. Almost all of the Marvel Legends need bigger shoulders. It's very strange to me that that's a thing. Superheroes always have a certain build. I mean, like, for the stereotypical body, and we just don't get that. Double jointed elbow works well enough. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge. Ab crunch goes back one notch, goes forward a few notches. That works fine, no problem. Waist twist. Hips go out to the sides, not very well. This one better than this one. I don't know what's going on there. But let's just say 45 degrees, we'll average it out. Legs go forward nicely. They go back just a touch. Thigh swivel is fine. Double jointed knee is fine. Boots do rotate at the boot. If you're gonna do it, that is definitely the way to do it. Good job there. Ankles go all the way back, not very far forward, and we get a decent ankle rocker. Feet still might be kind of big. Definitely a decent release, especially if you wanted a half-naked Wolverine. This will probably get the job done. The head could definitely be better. Little issues like the hair could be painted better, but if you don't get too close, it may not stand out and might be okay for you. So yeah, this is one I would recommend as a standalone if you're just trying to cherry pick on eBay or something. This could be one you'd enjoy. Definitely could have better claws, but it'll get the job done. Okay, let's move on to Cyber. I probably should have done him first because he is the least interesting looking out of all of them, but I thought some of you guys might be more interested in him than the other two that I did before Wolverine. He stands 19.5 centimeters roughly, which makes him 7 3/4 inches, give or take. And these are all reused parts, I believe. Maybe the forearms are different from Colossus. And then, of course, we have the new head. And so this one's fine. This body's okay. The only real gripe I have is even though he does have wider shoulders than his hips, which is a good thing, he's very flat. He doesn't have much going forward and back, and his shoulders are still far forward. His shoulders are still relatively small, and his thighs are still too small. Changing these things would make a big difference, and I can show you easily how much of a big difference, because we have a figure that has all of these right things, and look how much more like a freaking comic book character that looks. His thighs are big, his shoulders are big and broad, his waist is narrow. Like, that's what you need to do. Look at the shape of his calves. Big thighs, big calves, tiny ankles, skinny knees. Way more tubular. This guy looks like somebody that's not in the comic books. Very different look. The thighs make a huge difference, and I think that's the biggest thing for him. But also his chest is small relative to the width of his body. It's just a weird set of anatomy. It's not terrible, but it's not great. And that's probably why he looks a little frumpy and dumpy compared to somebody like Omega Red, even though this guy has shading on him, and this guy has none. You can just see right next to each other how much better Omega Red looks. The sculpt is phenomenal. The anatomy on Omega Red is better in the individual sections. Let's see if I can say it without stuttering, but also just overall the proportioning is so much better. It's not even close. Anyway, we do have the blue shading on here. It's like a pearly blue. We have some on the legs, we have some on the pecs. His head, at least on mine, is a big heavy spot. It's way too harsh there, but it is there. Some on the shoulders, none on the back at all. And he is molded in this metallic blue. It's a good enough look. Like, if you don't get too close, it's fine. The face to me doesn't look anywhere near as good as it should. It's very flat looking with a glossy flesh tone and then very yellow teeth. So a little bit of good paint on there would go a long way. But again, if you don't get too close, it'll be fine. And his arms are a nice silver. They're not chrome, of course, but they are pretty shiny silver, so I like that. No accessories for him, so that's easy. Let's talk about the articulation. The head can look up pretty nicely. It does look down, full rotation, almost no attitude. Shoulders, yep, they go almost horizontal. You're going to get your rotation out of there. Bicep swivel is fine. Single jointed elbow, not even 90. This does still have the big fat forearms that Colossus had, I believe. I thought Colossus had wristbands, but maybe they were glued on. I don't remember anymore. Maybe something happened. He had big fat arms and then tiny hands. Something's going on here where he's got fat forearms, big fat wrist. At least his hands aren't too small though, and those work okay. Ab crunch goes back just one notch, Goes forward just 1 notch, but it'll probably be okay. Waist twist is fine. You know, one thing I noticed that I think Hasbro could get away with is they put this right here, which is technically there on a human, but because of it being right on top of the swivel for the waist and underneath the ab crunch, they should really suck it in just a little bit. Just fudge it because we don't want that lump right there. I think it would be better if this was tucked in more so that it gave him more of a skinny waist look. Like, even this guy has a belt on and he's got a much better V-shape to his torso than this guy. This guy has love handles essentially, so they could really use to just work on things like that. We see that a lot actually from Hasbro. Anyway, we have a waist twist. Hips go out to the side, about 45. They go forward nicely. He can kick. They don't go back. Thigh swivel is fine. Double jointed knee is fine. Ankles go pretty far all the way back, pretty far all the way forward, and really nice ankle rocker. So yeah, he's another fine release. Again, the anatomy commentary that I have and the sculpting commentary, it's really not something that should, unless it's terrible like we've seen in the past, that should detract you too much from buying the figure because you don't have a choice. That's the way Hasbro makes their figures now. I'm just saying that for future reference, if by chance they're watching my videos and want to make more figures that look like this, I'm just saying that that would be a good idea as opposed to figures that look like this. And I know they're not supposed to have the exact same build, but the concept is still true that we see here. Could be applied here. Yeah, if you wanted Cyber, this is a fine release. People have been making customs of him for about 1 million years. And now there's one that you don't have to pay a customizer to make. So, hey, that's a good thing if you're looking for it. It's fine. It's not impressive. All right. Last but not least, the big one, the good one, Omega Red. About 7¼ inches, which makes him roughly 18.5 centimeters, a little bit less than that. This guy is the guy. He's the one. He's the sales anchor as far as I'm concerned in this 5-pack. And even though we just got another one who had the darker red and some more silver and stuff, I like this a lot. Its color scheme is mostly based on, I think, the old Toy Biz toy, the 5-inch figure, because we have the white tentacles and the brighter red and the very white skin, and it pretty much matches that look. The only thing that really stands out to me as a flaw for this guy, I do like the fact that we have the logo on his forehead, by the way. That's good, but his face things, the things on his cheeks are like a platinum. They're more like a white gold, like they almost, not almost, you can barely tell that they're there. Those need to be the same silver as this to make him look good. His little lamb chops, his robotic lamb chops, need to be painted in silver to make him stand out and look really good. And so that's the flaw that I would see. And then the only other thing I would say is he's very pale plastic, obviously, everywhere, and the only paint we have is the silver, basically, throughout the whole core of the body. Like, yeah, we get the red here, fine. Get the silver here, fine. But, like, there's no shading or anything, and that would go a huge distance on this guy. A little bit of a wash would make him pop. His hair doesn't have a wash in it at all. Like, hair with paint on it looks so much better. So that would be really nice. But still, even without that, because of the sculpt, because of the broad shoulders, because of the skinny waist, because of the nice sculpting, this figure looks great. And I know you guys can see it. You guys read comics. You have to be able to tell the difference between a figure that's built like this and a figure that's built like this. Please talk to me in the comment section below if you see the difference in the anatomy, in the proportions, in that kind of thing, and how much more, or maybe you don't, if you like this or not, I guess, is a better way of putting it. Because to me, this just blows every other Marvel Legends out of the water. Almost every other. And I know you're thinking, well, they've used it, they're going to use this body for other things, they have used it for other things, and it does have that problem with the shoulders where they don't quite work without the giant shoulder pads, and I know that's a problem, but besides that, you know that they have the general concept available to them to make their figures like this because it's here. So just fix the shoulder issue and you have a perfectly good concept for a base body, give or take. So anyway, aesthetically speaking, it's gorgeous other than the lack of shading and other than the mouth parts being painted, so that's really good. As far as accessories, we do have the alternate heads. We have the yelling kind, or whatever kind of angry head, and then the normal angry head. That's nice. We have the little tentacles, and then we have the big tentacles. That's it. That's enough. I like that. That's a good thing. Now, as far as articulation goes, he can look up, just not too much because of the hair and the way the neck is designed. He can look down. That's just fine. Side to side is fine. A little bit of attitude, that's okay. Ponytail is not posable. You will tear it off. Or at least mine's really stuck if that's the case, but they never are, so that seems reasonable. Shoulder pads are flexible. You get a butterfly joint out of here. I would still like to see slightly bigger shoulders. Like I said, in this region, this build could be reworked, but the shoulder pads hide it for Omega Red, so that's fine. Butterfly joint is really nice. Shoulder joint works underneath the shoulder pads. up to horizontal, so that is good. You do get your full rotation, but of course the pads are in the way, so that's reasonable. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, just about 90 degrees. He's a little thick, so that's fine. And then the wrists have a swivel and a hinge, but if you're going to use these things, they're going to definitely get in the way, so that's a bit of a bummer. Ab crunch works relatively well. He does get the pot belly effect. I wish they didn't do that. He still doesn't have very much front to back. He's very flat. Very, very flat. If it wasn't for the shoulder pads, he'd look really flat. So that's what gives you the pot belly look, but it still is a decent ab crunch, so that's fine. Oh yeah, one other thing I wanted to mention from the aesthetic is the belt. The harness is not long enough. They did this, was it Cyclops's was too long, or was it not long enough? Something happened. That should definitely be down farther, like another 1/4 of an inch almost. So that's a bit of a bummer. It's fine, but it definitely should come down a little bit farther. Waist twist, that's fine. Hips go out to the side, better than the rest of the figures here, even though he's chunky as heck. So that just goes to show if you move that joint, move that fulcrum out farther this way, you get way better range. You can see where the, I'm talking too much in this video, but hopefully you guys like that. So you can see by when I move this, that this part goes up. That means the point's too far in. What you want to do is have the pivot point farther out so that as you move it, it basically swings the whole thing right in place. But if you're lucky, you can, if you try, you can move it farther out even. And that allows you to bring your hips out to the side without needing any giant gapping. So that's a thing maybe they can employ later on down the road. Instead of bringing that joint so far in, bring it farther out and it'll work better. I don't know why they don't know that. So the legs go pretty far forward, that's good. They go back just a touch, but they don't really want to stay there. Thigh swivel is fine, double jointed knee is fine. Ankles go all the way back and all the way forward and have a good ankle rocker. So easily the best of the bunch. His articulation works, his sculpt works, his accessories are here. Just needs a little bit of paint, and this guy is off to the races. By far the best figure in the bunch, which I think is good news probably for most people. Definitely was for me. Okay, so now it's time for a final verdict. Obviously, definitely pick up Omega Red on his own if you were going to try to cherry pick very specifically. All right, don't fall over. Well, you know what? I'm so tired of figures falling over. Ratcheted ankles suck. And I know you need some level of ratcheting, kind of, but do you? Do you really? I don't think so. All right. Maybe a little bit. Okay, so here we go. There they are. Do we want to buy the 5-pack? Am I going to recommend it? Overall rating and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and give ratings as the 5-pack. Aesthetic, 8 out of 10. There's a lot of good stuff going on here. Better than average for most. Some of them are definitely lacking, but 8 out of 10 for the aesthetic for the 5-pack. Accessories, it's definitely a little bit light, I would say, but it's not bad. I'm going to go 7. 7 seems reasonable. Nothing impressive, but it's a good enough batch for most of them. Articulation, I can't think of any huge flaws, so I'll go 8. Overall, I think they're fine. And now it's time for the final verdict of the 5-pack. I think I did do a 5-pack once before. Maybe it was Comic-Con exclusive or something like that. I think I did them individually. Anyway, I'm going to go overall 7 out of 10. I can't go too much higher because this guy and this guy dragged down the set significantly in a variety of ways. This one having the skinny legs. Things like that do drag it down. Lack of paint, but it's still not bad. I have to give it a lower rating as a 5-pack because you have to buy all 5 to get them. So 7 out of 10, it's not like you're going to be thrilled to have all 5 of them, most likely. So that's my final verdict. I don't know if the numbers line up or not, but I'm allowed to skew them and fudge them and decide things are more important than others because it's my review. So that's what I'm going to do. Alright guys, thanks for watching this long video. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.